Welcome back, everyone, to the long lunch here at Fox Sports News. Sprint car racing has had a long and proud history in Australian motorsport, and the Tatnell family name is right up there with the best. Joining us now is Brooke Tatnell. Thanks for coming on. Who's a three-time and current Australian champion, and things, of course, heating up this week, I guess. Tomorrow night, back in the saddle.
Yes, you know, Australian sprint car racing, this is the pinnacle. This is the ultimate. It's the Stanley Cup, it's Bathurst, it's everything. It's the ARL Grand Final, it's everything, and that's the Australian Sprint Car Championship. It's just a one-weekend deal. You can have the worst year you've had in your whole career and come out and win this race, and it puts a smile on your face. It's definitely the pinnacle.
Obviously, being the current holder of that beautiful big trophy, you don't want to let it go too quickly. Yeah,
we've been pretty lucky. We've won it the last 3 years in a row. We're only the second driver in history to achieve that. Gary Rush is the other guy that has 4 in a row, so we're trying to match his record, and we never put our name on it after we won the first one, and we haven't put it on there yet, so we're hoping that's an omen that it's not on there yet, so maybe we can get 4 on the trot.
All right, well, how fierce is the competition going to be? It's at Parramatta Speedway, and obviously this is, like you say, the pinnacle of the Australian summer.
I mean, for people that don't know what a sprint car is, they're fire-breathing 850 to 890 horsepower race cars, so it's a greater power to ratio than a Formula 1 car. So the thing here, we've got a lot of drivers that go to America and full-time professionals, and they're here, to win this championship. It is the be-all to end-all.
Yeah, they look like they're a lot of fun to drive. Obviously, it's not hard to work out how you became addicted to racing these things. What are they like?
It's a drug. It is a dead set drug. Once you sample it once, you never want to get off it. And you're talking about, it's like riding a bucking bronco. It's bouncing around the whole time. The speeds, you're going to be at around 100 and somewhere between 150 to 180 kilometres an hour down the straightaway and into the corners, and you don't back off for the corners. It's held wide open, so it's basically racing of the bravest and the stupidest.
It looks like the ultimate dune buggy, doesn't it? But it's more than just a big boy's toy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're looking at a car sitting there that's about $80,000 worth, and it is a race car built for racing. The aerofoils on top are there for safety, so when you do crash, I mean, that all looks great on TV, but when you see them crash, then you realise, there's another factor of this, and that's the safety you expect.
Well, Brooke, you're kind of built for racing as well, because your family has obviously been amongst the sport for many generations. Tell us a little bit about that.
The biggest reason I'm built for sprint car racing is because I don't have too many brains, and I don't want to have a real job and grow up.
So there's room for us then?
Yeah, definitely. So, it's I've been born and raised in Speedway. I've been working on race cars since I was 4 years old. My dad was the pinnacle of Australian motorsport, and he also won the Australian Championship 4 times in 2 different divisions. So it's a breeding ground, and the good thing about the sport right now is we've got a lot of young guys coming into this sport that may not have been bred into it, and they've come through the go-karting ranks and realise that it's very, very hard to get an opportunity to get into sprint cars. And if you want to look at the overall list of Australia's greatest motorsport drivers, a lot of them have come through Speedway, so it's definitely a good breeding ground, but there's definitely an area that you don't want to go away from.
No question, and of course your father is an icon of the sport, but you haven't done too badly yourself. As you say, you're the 3 times current Australian sprint car champion, 5-time World Series champion. You've considered the most winningest driver in the history of sprint car racing. Fair list of victories there.
Yeah, we've had a couple of good years there along the way. So, but as I say, we've been very, very fortunate. This is a team event. The driver sits here and gets all the praise, all the glory, but it takes a whole team to be able to win this, and it's no different to any other sport. Leighton Hewitt doesn't win tennis matches without a great team, and the driver's only the monkey that sits there that holds the steering wheel and holds the pedal down to the floor, but the crew guys are the ones that make a lot of the decisions. But I mean, as you can see on TV, it's close wheel banging action.
I wanted to ask about, I guess, the sport in Australia. Like you said, a lot of young drivers coming through. Is there young fans coming to the gates? And obviously you live for 9 months of the year in the States, in Minnesota. What's the comparison like between the two, I guess, here in Australia and in the US?
I've got to be very careful. My wife's an American, but I tell you, Americans are backwards when it comes to the promotion of sprint car racing. They think just set out a sprint car and go and watch it race, and there's your entertainment value. But it's not. The way we do things in Australia with Australian Speedway, there's razzmatazz. We've got a promotion going on this weekend. Here we are at the biggest race of our year, and that's the Australian Championship, and we're actually doing a match race against Toyota's Simon Evans in his World Rally Car and we're doing a full-on match race between himself and between him and I on the racetrack. So it'll be very, very interesting. There's always something going on. The one thing is, it's very interesting to see that a lot of the new kids coming into the sport and sitting up on the hills. I've always said it, there's no greater feeling than signing an autograph at the end of the night, and there's a lot of kids coming through, and you still see the people that have been going through the Speedway grandstands that I saw when I was in the grandstands as a 5-year-old kid. They're a lot older now too, but they're now bringing their grandchildren through.
Wow.
You're a father. Is the legacy going to continue?
I hope she's a lot smarter than to drive a race car. I'm figuring a tennis racket's a hell of a lot cheaper than a sprint car engine. But if she wants to drive race cars, I always joke about people. You need to sign her up right now. We keep talking about grabbing the younger generation at a young age. I'm ready to sell her off to a good sponsor that doesn't mind giving Dad a few bucks on the way to help his racing program either. But
she could probably fit in that trophy. Meanwhile, mate, have you got any aspirations to ever try your hand at other forms of racing, like the supercars or F1 or something like that, or are you quite happy to stick with what you know?
I've always had a dream. I always wanted to race at Bathurst. I went to Bathurst as a young kid with my dad, and I walked through the pits, and when you're walking through with your hero, who happened to be my father, and Peter Brock walks up and yells out, "Hey George, how's things going?" And I'm standing there, pretty proud kid. I always thought the V8 supercars was something I'd love to have a go at. We did a little bit of dabbled in the super touring cars when they were an elite group here, but right now Formula One, we're too old. At 36, we're way too old to be venturing into that sort of thing. I'd love to have a crack at Bathurst if the opportunity arose for us to have a go, but there's definitely nothing wrong with making a living out of playing in the dirt. No,
and you certainly seem to carve them up in the world of outlaws as well. Racing in that oval format, perhaps NASCAR's in the United States.
Yeah, but it's like anything right now. It's a very tough market to crack into. You need financial backing. We're having enough problems right now getting Australian financial backing to send us back to America to go and take on the best in the world and run with the toughest series there is, and that's the World of Outlaws, which is a 100-race schedule over the next 9 months.
Brooke, before we let you go, mate, if you could sort of write the perfect 2008, how would it be?
2008. Wrap up. We just wrapped up our 6th World Series championship. So if we can wrap up this 4th in a row Australian Sprint Car Championship, and there's one guy on that trophy that has his name more than anyone else, and that's Gary Rush, that has 10 victories. And there's a lot of us vying to. We may never match that, but to win 4 in a row, I'll be very, very proud of that.
It'll be an incredible performance, and it all goes on the line tomorrow night at Parramatta Raceway. Over the next 3 nights, we wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you. And you got to get your backside trackside, as Mike Raymond used to say, because this is the pinnacle of Australian motorsport.
Yeah, we're a big fan of Mike Raymond here as well, and his son AJ, who works for us. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Brooke. Well, more